Hey, Pat Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk with you about being a spectator. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Fitness Business School podcast, the show for fitness business owners who want to grow their income, increase their impact, and improve their lifestyle. Be sure to listen till the end of this episode because we have a brand new special offer exclusive for listeners. So stay tuned.
There's a popular line that I really gravitate to, this line that every job is easy until you're the one doing it. And I think that as a guy who has spent over 40 years involved as a player or a coach in sports, primarily baseball, you see this constantly. You see fans in the stands who are critical of the players on the field. You see parents who kind of gripe at their children because maybe they didn't swing the bat at a certain pitch, or maybe they didn't catch a ball that was hit to them, or maybe they're on the mound and they're not throwing strikes. And it's easy, right? There's the whole Man in the Arena essay from Teddy Roosevelt that kind of speaks to this. But the truth is there are so many invisible challenges for the doer that the spectator never sees. They just don't understand. And I don't profess to know nearly as much about football as I do baseball, but I mean, there's so many things going on in a football play, just a singular football play. So many responsibilities, so many moving parts that somebody making one misstep that draws the boos from the frustration from the spectator at home. Yeah, there's so many things that were likely invisible to 90+% of them happening that are influencing how the player on the field operates. I can tell you that as a former baseball player, as a former collegiate baseball coach, and as somebody who's continued to coach at various levels ever since, it's just very different for the person in the arena, for the person doing the actual job. There are plenty of variables that are in play for them. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because in the business world, we see a lot of people who are either early stage, intermediate stage, maybe they're stuck in business, and they admire certain things about business owners who are seemingly further ahead than them. And those things that they're admiring are, hey, this person maybe has a big social media following, or maybe this person has a nicer, larger gym, or maybe they're well-known in and perhaps beyond the industry. Or maybe they're, at least from what I can see from an observer standpoint, they're wealthy. They've done very well for themselves. And that's fine, right? That's fine if that's something that inspires you, if that motivates you. But I also have seen the flip side of this. I remember having an employee in our first training business who had a master's degree in exercise physiology. He was clearly an intelligent guy, and he was kind of bitter when we'd go to events. I mean, I remember going to events like the Ryan Lee Boot Camp and some industry events later on, even like a Perform Better. And he would be kind of cynical about the presenters acting as if, well, I know as much as them. I have as much experience as them. I have the same, and in some cases, more credentials than them. And maybe if somebody's submitting a resume, that's true. But the thing that I would initially try to remind him of, and then later just kind of threw in the towel on it, was that there's plenty of stuff that's invisible to him, right? How many hours did this person put in to get to where they are? How many days, how many trips on planes and staying in hotels did they make to go speak at small little events before they were able to get on a bigger stage? How many programs had they written and made pennies on the dollar to do it? And like, there were so many things that they had done to pay their dues, just like it's easy to see the person on television making 8 figures a year playing a sport. Well, nobody's been with them in the weight room in the off season. Nobody watched them throughout growing up and saw the countless hours they were doing that instead of doing something else. And when I say nobody, obviously some of the people listening to this get to see some of that development behind the scenes, and they understand what goes into it. But the same thing holds true as a business owner, right? Like usually the accomplishments that happen, they're happening from people who are far from overnight successes. They're people who became overnight successes after putting in 10, 15, 20 years of work. And unless you are willing to do the things that those people have done, and in many cases, things that are probably invisible to you, so you need to be able to kind of get behind the curtain and understand, then you don't have a logical right to feel like you deserve what they have. And I see this so often with business owners. I mean, I had the good fortune to spend a couple days with our boardroom group, which is a mastermind group of incredibly high performers, but maybe more impressive to me is they are relentless about consistency and improvement. So they are high performers, but I've got to watch them go from being, in many cases, okay performers, kind of at that intermediate stage, to becoming high performers. And I got to see the consistency that they had, and the relentlessness and the perseverance that they had when things didn't go well, when they had employee challenges, or when an ad campaign didn't work, or maybe an ad account got shut down, or when they would market a promotion and it flopped, or when they had issues with a landlord and had to move locations or something of the sort. So many things that they've overcome. But if I share a success story about one of those folks, you know, maybe half the time I'll get somebody replying back, kind of implying that, saying, oh, you know what, but that person kind of had the deck stacked in their favor and things are easier for them and their circumstances are better. I'm like, man, you know what? You don't know. You just don't know, because so much of what goes on is invisible to us when we're in that seat of being a spectator. So understand that having been around pretty much high performers for the last 30 odd years, college athletes, obviously, what the statistics bear out, that fewer than 10% of high school athletes become college athletes. So I got to be around a lot of high performing athletes that at least ascended to that level, and a number of them who got beyond that. I got to work with professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and I got to see behind the curtain on what they were willing to do that the average athlete wasn't. Getting into business, being around a lot of high achievers in the business world, and also getting to see the journey of a lot of them. They're willing to do what a lot of people aren't. They're willing to stay at things when they get tough, and not just when they're tough for a couple of days. They may be tough for months or even years, and they stay the course because they believe in the mission that they've chosen. I've seen people have all sorts of ups and downs and just persevere throughout. So whenever you are saying, okay, I want this thing that's better, understand that it usually comes with having to be better. Almost always. It has to come with us leveling up and becoming the type of person that earns those outcomes. And even when we do, I'm not talking about being that type of person for a matter of days or weeks. Like, you got to be willing to be that type of person for years if you want those outcomes, and you want those outcomes to be durable and lasting, right? Because that's what it's built on. It's built on us just adopting a different approach because it's important to us to have a different outcome. I mean, I've heard James Clear say iterations of the phrase, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And I don't know if there's anything more true. Like, what are our habits? What are our consistent behaviors? What systems do we have installed in our business, in our life? Well, the outcomes are always going to be directly linked to those. So if you want to be better, don't just make assumptions about the invisible. Get behind the curtain, find out what it really takes to get to the things you want. And if you're willing to install the systems and adopt the habits, then it'll likely be yours too. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fitness Business School. Before you go, I have a quick announcement. One of the things that we've been doing with our current clients is taking them through this ideal business diagnostic. And really what it is this checklist that allows you to pinpoint exactly what your business needs next so you can keep improving, keep growing, and build a business that you love to own. One that pays you well, one that allows you to have the impact you want to have, and one that allows you to have a lifestyle that you truly enjoy. In this diagnostic, we walk through everything and we do an evaluation and can instantly pinpoint what you need to do next to build that business that you want. I'm going to extend this opportunity to get on with either me or my team and take you through this evaluation and fix your business's most vital needs fast. So if we take you through this, you're going to be able to make those vital changes that you need to finally have what I call your ideal business. If you'd be interested in going through this entirely free, risk-free diagnostic with us and learn what you already have in place, what you're doing well, and where your greatest opportunities for rapid improvement are, just shoot me an email with diagnostic in the subject line to pat@patrigsby.com. Again, an email to pat@patrigsby.com with diagnostic in the subject line will get you scheduled and take you through this evaluation to help you build the business you want.